My recipe on how to make perfect basmati rice is one of the most popular recipes on my blog. This rice has been popular on the Indian subcontinent for hundreds of years. I've been thinking a lot about how my mission with Indiophile is about helping people connect to culture through food and to help them feel comfortable cooking Indian food without the need for following a recipe. Today I'm going to show you a few different ways to cook rice and talk you through the pros and cons of each. And then you can decide how you want to make rice that suits your lifestyle. You may choose one method one day and a different method on another day, depending on the results that you're looking for and the amount of time that you have on hand. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the no soak method. This is how I normally make rice during the week. I'm rushing to put food on the table after a long day of work. This method is quick and efficient and perfect for multitasking while you're cooking something else to pair with it. You always start by rinsing the rice. So take your basmati rice, you can rinse it in the same pot that you're going to be cooking. Go ahead and add your rice to the pot and rinse until the water is no longer cloudy. Depending on the rice that you have, this can take anywhere from 3 to 6 times. If you're using aged basmati rice, I recommend adding 2 times the amount of water as the rice. Add a little dollop of ghee and a couple of whole spices. Those are completely optional, but they transform the rice and add so much extra fragrance and aroma that I almost never cook rice without a few whole spices. Add a little bit of salt and bring the water to a boil. Once the water is boiling, put a lid on it, lower the heat. Set a timer for 12 minutes. There you see perfectly fluffy, delicious, easy rice. You will notice that it will stick a little bit around the edges and it isn't as separated as some of the other ways to make rice, but it is definitely delicious and good enough for a weeknight. Now I'm going to show you the soaked rice method. This method requires soaking your rice for 30 minutes prior to cooking it. So you start off in the same way, rinse your rice until the water runs clear, soak it for 30 minutes, and then drain that water. And then you can add in the same ratio, twice the amount of liquid to the amount of rice that you're using, a little dollop of ghee or oil, some salt, and a few whole spices. Cardamom, cloves, black pepper work really well. You can also add star anise if you like, or a stick of cinnamon. Give that a stir. Bring that to a boil over high heat. And once the water is boiling, put a lid on it and reduce the heat to low and set a timer for 12 minutes. This rice is much fluffier than the previous rice, and the grains have had the ability to absorb water for a little longer and have expanded to their full length and potential. So this rice is beautiful and feels so special, but I only soak my rice when I'm going to have guests. To me, the extra 30 minutes is usually not worth it unless I am trying to show off how fluffy and long-grained the basmati rice can be. Now I'm going to show you the boil and drain method. This is the Ayurvedic method and the method that my mom always uses, and this is also the method that you might be familiar with if you have made biryani. So we're going to use 4 to 5 times the water of the rice, add some salt, and set the water to boil. Once the water is boiling, add the rinsed rice, a little bit of ghee. I'm going to reserve most of my ghee to add once the rice is cooked so that it doesn't go down the drain with the water. Add the same spices that you would add to any rice and cook for 10 minutes. And once that has cooked, immediately transfer to a strainer and drain the water. That excess rice water is referred to as kanji and is a popular drink in many parts of India. Let the water drain out of the rice for a few minutes and then transfer the drained rice to a bowl and now add the remaining ghee or oil. And this is completely optional. and just gently lift the rice to prevent breaking the individual grains and distribute the ghee evenly. This rice is also incredibly fluffy and long-grained. This rice is very close in texture to the soaked rice. Personally, I don't often use this method because I don't like having extra dishes to wash. So I also only do this if I'm having guests or if I'm trying to cook rice that has a lower quantity of starch in it. Saute and steam. This is more like the pulao method, and it is a very easy way to get fancy. Start by heating some ghee or oil in a pan. Add in the same whole spices that you would normally add to your rice, and let the spices sizzle in the hot oil or ghee for a few seconds. Then add in the rinsed rice, and it is perfectly okay that the rice is wet. And let that cook until the rice smells toasty and starts to turn golden. Depending on how high your heat is, this could take a few minutes. Keep stirring the rice to ensure that it does not stick to the bottom of the pan. And once it is nice and toasty, add in 2 parts water to the amount of rice that you're using. Add a little bit of salt. Bring it to a boil. Cover and cook for 15 minutes. This method of rice will give you the most separated grain because each grain of rice gets cooked in the fat and toasted, so it will not stick together as much as any of the other rice methods. It is a little bit more labor intensive, and the flavor and texture of this rice is a little bit different than just plain rice as it has been lightly toasted. And I typically only use this method while I'm making pulao, but it is certainly something that you can do with plain rice if you wanted to. So there you have it, 4 ways to make rice. You can figure out what works best for you, the amount of effort you want to put in, and the output that you are looking for. Like and follow for more.